Chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud,
To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image of Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar,
O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them,
It is true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king,
O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter.
If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king.
But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake, and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors,
Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire?
They answered and said unto the king,
True, O king.
He answered and said,
Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God.
Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said,
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither.
And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said,
Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree, that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort.
Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.
Anything you do against them, you can touch on your house and the outside toilet. I will use the country word. That has been done, so that's amazing. In chapter 3, this is now about 20 years later, between chapter 2 and chapter 3, when he actually got the dream. And in verse 1 here, we actually see that there is now a defiance that has been done by Nebuchadnezzar. God had told him that he was the head of gold, but that the entire image of gold. But he wanted to be the entire image of gold. He wanted to be the whole image, thus contradicting the revelation of God. It is an attempt of man trying to reach or be God. It is the glorification of man, because the image is 60 cubic feet high by 6 feet wide. 6 is the number of man, and it was created on the 6th day. Because man is created on the 6th day, one short of perfection. This image in Dura is a preview or the kindergarten stage of what will be the New Testament book of Revelation 13, when the Antichrist will construct another image with this same number 666 and force people to bow down and worship it. Not only that too as well, thirdly, it is the unification of religions. The image was the object of worship. It was an attempt to consolidate all people. Nebuchadnezzar knew that in order to bring the world together politically, he had to do it religiously. The system points to the last day of a one world religion. God's people is already unified as we are one with Christ. So really it is a gathering together of you come at your God, I come at my God, and everybody, no matter what is your rank, you could be treasurer, you could be counselor, you could be sheriff, any ruler, everybody had to fall down and bow. No matter what your rank that is there, because of this image that is set up. So it is a case where there is a coming together of everybody. From verse 2 to 3, the powerful order is again given to the pool of senior rank men. When the king said, come, they came to see the sight of this beauty. This team of officers were more the political and business community of influence. Their list is repeated in verse 2, verse 3, and verse 27 as the assembly before the image wait for the universal call to worship. And there is also groups that are like that as well. From verse 4 to 5, we find that there is a loud announcement. A herald made up the announcement. This is the political preacher that controlled by the state. There is a demand for worship after the orchestra is played. You have some people in churches quarrel about, complain about music and so like that. Hey, them are music. And if I am correct, you're going to see every time this list is mentioned, 6 instruments is mentioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before the others are. There is a repeat of 6 instruments running through the system of music that is actually set up. Alright? So again you'll see the same concept that is there. The leader demanded bowing and worship that is more mechanical rather out of the heart. You see, God doesn't demand worship. God demanded there should be a natural willingness to worship. This is now a system that is demanding worship. Music is a powerful medium that can form character. Music can draw people to worship God or drag them to hell. Music reflects the spiritual and moral condition of worship. So if the world could use music, we could too as well. Alright? We could too as well. Some weeks ago I did a seminar entitled The Revelation of Worship. If you miss it, we do have it available that you can get. In verses 6 to 7, we see that there is a forcing. It is forcing people to worship or die as he exercised control over all people, nation, and language. A preview of what the Antichrist will do in the future. You see, we can freely bow down and worship now. But if not in the future, somebody will come and force you to do it. Some people don't want to come to church now. When you certain things happen, you'll see they'll force you to do what you don't want to do. You know, Jesus told the nation of Israel that, you see, I come in my Father's name and they don't want to accept me. Another will come in his own name and him will accept me. God wants us to follow him voluntarily, must be free will. But the world system uses force. Daniel is not mentioned here in the movie. We actually show where he's in the crowd. But you'll notice in the naming, there's now a showdown with the friends. You see, sometimes you is the focus. When you get promoted, that focus could shift. When you want to stand up now for your own. We saw Daniel stand up, and later in one chapter, Daniel will have to stand up again. But now is a showdown with the friends to see if they will also be able to stand. So, all men bow except 3 Jewish officials. You could imagine a big stadium. And this music and things start and everybody fall down. And you have 3 people stand like a picketing center. These guys are going to stand out amongst everything. So the first thing is that they wouldn't bow. Second thing, they wouldn't bend. And the last thing is that they wouldn't burn. 3 B's. From verses 8 to verse 12, we see therefore that the Chaldean once again speak. And I don't know who these fellas are. But them feel as if them is the exuder. They came near and they say, it has certain Jews. There are certain Christians you employ working here. There are some people that go in that church. They buy you. Chaldeans once again speak. Alright? It is not easy going against the crowd, particularly in a public arena. It is not conformist. It is not a case of equal rights, nor is it a case of cruel society. The Chaldean once had favor and prominence, but it was taken away after Daniel's case in chapter 2. If they could remove the Jews, they would get back the post. You always have people fighting for your post in your office. Not in church, even in room 2 as well. In church. There is a threefold charge. These Jews, hear what it says, what they're telling Nebuchadnezzar. They say, number 1, these Jews have no regard for the king because they don't want to obey. Number 2, they don't follow the God that the king has. And number 3, they don't worship your golden image. So there's 3 accusations. The minority can make a difference when they stand up. You know, we feel as if the majority must be the one that always have the say. The world paid tribute to the people with conviction. Thousands were on the dust while 3 refused to bow, and they made a name for themselves based on their conviction. Secondly, they wouldn't bend. In verses 13 to 15, the king is out of control and enraged that 3 of his top parliamentarians will defile him on national television in public, man. It was on global coverage. You all remember the mistake that was made in Miss Universe? When they crowned the wrong person, and he came back with it. That is how this king possibly felt. National coverage. This world Babylon will offer you gold, but demand your worship. The king is amazed in verse 14, and he can hardly believe he is. Why would some stand to defile him? One word from the king, and all men fall on their face, or they will die. And these 3 men decided that they would not. The king had an idea that everybody had their price, and they was willing to compromise their conviction for a small price. But some people have backbone and are not foreseen. In verse 15, he tried diplomacy. Tried diplomacy. Listen, call back the 6 instruments again, and he said, if you follow, they'll be well. If not, I will light your skin on fire. The world always try to use talk before they bring threat and termination. The king attacked their God to shut up their faith. So not only when he realized that they're not bending, he now attacked it. He said, who is this God? Why are you following? I could cut you up right now and tell your house, the outside toilet. Like you are fire. Who is this God? Everybody calling now. Who is you? The shift is now between Nebuchadnezzar and God. Between who is this God of heaven and the power that Nebuchadnezzar have on earth. From verse 16 to 18, under severe pressure, the king got an answer he never heard in his palace. And they did it even in them standing up for their rights and defending God. They did it with respect. They respect the man office. Alright? They respect the man office. Courage, in bravery and boldness, they decided in their hearts and their mind that they didn't need to defend themselves in this matter. They said, listen, we are bowing down. If God wants to deliver us, like God choice. If God doesn't deliver us, we rather burn, but we are bowing down. I am bowing down. Confidence. Our God is able to deliver us. He is a God of power. Commitment. If God chooses not to deliver us, these men will not worship a foreign God. If I perish, I perish. I stand up for God. Now in the US right now, we are seeing individuals that are losing their jobs because they're standing up for biblical rights and biblical grounds. If I perish, I perish. These 3 men's faith is the noblest example of faith that is bent on the will of God. They ask for no miracle as their faith speaks true. He slay me, yet he slay me. Or though he slay me, yet will I serve him. In Job 13 and verse 15. And then they wouldn't burn. Let me tell you, if you throw 3 people and you light the fire 7 times hotter, 3 is the number of Trinity, 7 is God's number. No wonder why God showed up. God showed up. The Gentile name. Now what is interesting is this. God and the scriptures use and repeats the Gentile name of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego right through the chapter. It becomes the road march. It becomes the sound of heaven. Heaven keeps repeating their names over and over again because of their stand for it. So the Gentile names are used, and it is mentioned here is 13 times in this one chapter, as if God takes time to proudly call their names in the whole of heaven. He says, if you are ashamed of me before men, I will be ashamed of you before my Father in heaven. But if you declare me before men, I will declare you before my throne in heaven. 13 times God takes time to pen their names down to make sure you get it, you get it, you get it, you get it, you get it 13 times. 13 times. The fiery furnace is a type of global tribulation because it's 7 years. 7 years tribulation. So the fire is lit 7 times hotter. Daniel Abson points to an imagery of the church being away or taken or raptured before the tribulation. The 3 Hebrew boys point to the house of Israel that came out during the time of the Antichrist tribulation on earth. The king is furious and causes vintage to change. A divexed one. That king is so vexed that the man face change. Man face change. That's what you call getting vexed. Anger can be seen. It also shows evidence of demonic influence. Rage come up in his face. In anger, he commanded to make to increase the flame 7 times, or the furnace 7 times. In the heat of persecution, we will survive once we are dressed for the furnace. Only one message for the group. That's a message. Dress for the furnace. These fellas were dressed for the furnace. In the king rage, others' lives got caught in the crossfire. The furnace made the men of faith better. So the soldiers who trained them in, they're born. And the fellas who inside, they're born in it. They're lighted. Light up. From verse 24, we see something now happen. They could not burn as they stepped into the realm of miracles where the presence of God was. Nebuchadnezzar had a seat at an vantage point, and he can see 4 men walking free in the fire. Now, I wonder these fellas. You in fire, everything burning, the rope and thing burn out, and you inside and they walking. And they're coming out, you know. They're walking around. Because if God in the fire, they're walking in. They're waiting for the king to tell them to come out, but they're not coming. Walking around in the midst of the fire. 3 men in one. 3 men in, 4 men inside the fire. 3 men came back out and 1 remained in the fire. And let me tell you, Nebuchadnezzar is the one that when he was, this is the testimony of the man in the rage. He said, I see the fort, and he looks like the Son of God. What a revelation. What, let me tell you, if he was really under demonic influence, demons would know when God to know. That happened in time of Jesus. And he was able to identify it as one of the best Old Testament record of a leader, a world leader, that is a heathen with a cold heart. Could I see God? See God. So the fourth is like the Son of God. Nebuchadnezzar, a mad pagan king, got the revelation and was able to see the Son of God. From verse 26, they waited for the king to give instruction to come out. They went through a public examination by their officers. When you get a miracle, go and let the specialists confirm it. The specialists, counsels come. They come to smell them. They come to check out their clothes. They come to check out their hair to see the smelling like manicure. They went through a public examination to know for a fact that these men were really indeed in the fire. Now, if the rope could blow off, rope tougher than your hair or your skin, so they went through a public examination. Do not be afraid when you get a miracle to go and confirm and get evidence that God did something for you. In the end, the king praised God and promoted the Jewish guys. The king prospered God's people. A pathway of glory is always true. A pathway of suffering. But we are like to hear that, but that is the truth. Constitutional reform resulted in laws being passed in the Babylonian parliament with a death penalty to all citizens who speak against the God of heaven or the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Constitutional reform. And you know it's part of the reform? If you talk against a God, I will cut you up. I'll turn your house. Turn house like toilet. This man like this smart boy. Note, during the time of Gentiles, there will be tension between obeying God and obeying men. 2, even in captivity, God stands ready to deliver those that trust in Him. 3, the idols of Babylon are doomed, or the world, they are doomed to fail. And we see judgment at the hand of a sovereign God. 4. This is the last we see of these 3 heroes that are mentioned after they pass this test. Their names are mentioned so much in this one chapter, we have no need to see their names again because of what they have gone through.